I signed up for this. This is what it is. This is what it was that I didn't know that it is, but I'm finding out what it is right now. And I think for me, and this is not to put down any professional, you know, but that part where they had to poke all those holes to recreate the new roots for the hair. I mean, harvesting, they had to, this area of our head where most of us have most of our hair is in the back, right? And and testosterone lives here. That's why when we lose hair, that's how where it shows up, right? Because that's where most of that that hormone lies. It's on the crown of our head, right? So so yeah, I had to be like, what the heck is going on? I had to just lend myself to the process. But that part, so even going through it, we had to measure exactly where the hairline felt best for me. So what you see here is just really reclaiming my hairline that had actually gone an inch and a half or so back because of traction alopecia. Traction alopecia means that something has been pulling on that hair for so long that our body, the brain, recognizes that, hey, you're in danger, and it's just going to naturally snap the hair to protect the body. Our brain is so smart, but the result of protecting us doesn't look so cute on a girl, on a woman, or whatever. But throughout college, I had to braid my hair. It's the only way for me to get through school, was not to be consumed by that time and the effort it took. So I would braid once a semester. I know that's ghetto, but that's it. I was a student. That's all I could afford in Canada, you know, and the sister who used to braid my hair couldn't even stand it. We would fight because she was from Gambia. We did these really tiny braids, but because I'm tender-headed, you know, she would always be like, please go to someone else. And I was like, no, please, you do my hair. And I would just stay with her. And, you know, but all those little tiny things sitting in the front left for too long pulled all my hair out. The weight was too much. And that's why for anything that we're doing, even if we're doing braids, I recommend please take them out by the time you're 6-8 weeks, please. And then not so tight that we can see the white things coming out of here. Those are the follicles, and that's like pore damage. And when that's pulled, it can't support a hair strand, you know. And in our history, we thought that looked good, right? It's like we were tricked, right? That's when we were not woke, right? And so we do all that stuff, but to fit an image, for you to be beautiful or to fit in so that you could get a job, you know, especially African women, Black women, you know, all alike. We alter our hair so we're more acceptable in the community, acceptable for jobs, to be competitive, you know. So yeah, so here I was faced with this thing and watching every step of the way getting disfigured. But somehow, somewhere deep inside, not losing hope, because I felt confident with the person who's working with me, right? And I have to be honest with you, because I've dealt with other trichologists in the U.S. who actually we team up with and send our clients to, just like we do here with Mr. Muli, with Dr. Muli at the Hair Hub. We work in tandem to keep, because the way one of the things he says is like, send them to me so that you could always have clients, so that you could keep coming back that they have hair, right? So, but here it is, like we've been working together, here it is that I actually ended up being one of his patients, right? Yeah, and I think through that, I don't even think he's ever heard this other part. Like he knows that I was irate in his office, but he didn't know that how I really felt, and I think I owe him that, even as I'm saying it. But there is that part that I have to say that was really difficult. And I'm sure there are many women out there who can attest to this. There was a part where he had to poke all those holes, and it felt like someone forcefully penetrating into my body, you know, and it felt like rape. Like honestly, and maybe Not in that sense of, it felt like rape because I felt like the attention we should pay to a woman's needs, emotional needs, were not considered. You know what I mean? And maybe people might be saying, what does that mean? It just means that I think because maybe I have a very an incredible physician and a well-rounded holistic doctor, they've empowered us by they've empowered me by teaching me, how to take care of myself, how to the words, like even our family doctor has taught my son how to have conversations with women that, in a way that I couldn't have. Like for example, he knows all about the cycle. So whenever if he's dating, he'll ask a woman when is your cycle? Like I remember my son saying, "Mom, these women don't even know when their ovulation period is," And I was like, "Oh my God, even your dad doesn't know," what But because of the family doctor, these are doctors who take the time to fully educate their patients, right? You're fully educating your patients so that whatever decisions they're making, it's totally empowered. And that's how I that's how I guide my business. Fully empower the client, so she knows, is she getting micrologs, cystologs, whatever whatever it is the extensions. I want her to be well informed that when she makes that decision, she's hitting the target, not going trying. You know what I mean? Just trusting her intuition and what those desires are, and having those conversations. So I felt like that part of the sacred piece of protecting a woman and that softness was not, it wasn't explained that that's how it'll feel. You were told what it is, but it wasn't explained. And perhaps even when I think, because I've often thought, is it better for them to show you before you go through it, right? I think I would have appreciated that, because I would be more empowered, and I probably wouldn't be here having this conversation, because I probably would have seen that. I was like, oh, hell no, that's not for me. I'm not getting poked at like that, But I'm going to tell you, the women who have been through it before me, who were like so curious to engage with me, that's the piece that was missing. And because they were like, I want to know what your experience was. I want to know what it was like for you. Because I was like, sis, you went through this. You never shared that part. She goes, who do I tell? I didn't even have words. Which is where I realized that piece is missing, big time. And this is like just a tip, a free tip, because this is $1 million tip, first of all, to all trichologists. Please consider the women. This industry was really engineered for men. We cannot treat and handle a woman the way we handle a man when it comes to this, right? Men, if you've got strong, you're going to go in there. You guys don't need the details, right? We require details. If you leave me out of the details, I feel cheated. I feel like you did something to me. You left me out. I wasn't part of this. You're doing this to me. Not like, hey, we're getting this done. So yeah, that was the piece. So as I became disfigured, how about nobody knew that I wanted to get this done? Not one person. I never told anyone, because there are things that I do in my life I just don't tell anyone, because I don't want to hear anybody's feedback. Because in this world today, everybody has an Instagram to send you, or a YouTube, or a comment, or some feedback that you didn't ask for. Everybody's got to chime in. But before, when I didn't bring it up, you didn't talk about it. But now that I'm talking about it, now you have so much to say about it. So I didn't want anybody to come and cloud my focus. And I do that a lot. Even when I was buying my home, I didn't tell anybody. I just took pictures. Even my girlfriends were like, what the hell? We saw you last week. You didn't say anything. Hello, welcome, dinner served. That's just how I operate. I've always been that way. I feel connected. And those moments when I'm quiet, I'm not alone. I'm really feeling connected to my ancestors and saying, hey, Devi, this is what I want. This is what I was saying, I have an altar and I have pictures of my grandparents there. And I sit and I pray, and I talk to them like I used to talk to them, like they're still there, and I really feel connected. And, it's unfortunate that even in our African culture that we feel, sometimes when we hear that, people feel uncomfortable. That's because they're not woke. That's because they're not aware. So when I went up to the mountain, to Mount Kenya, and understood why my people, like there was a deeper, on a cellular level, understanding why my people turned to that mountain to pray. The rituals that they did, everything was for the ancestors first. Everything. If you wanted anything, you had to go through that bloodline, you know, or remember them, for that support. So some people feel uncomfortable when you do that, or if you pour some gin or whiskey or a beer in that name. I'm not here to make anybody feel uncomfortable, but those are my values. Those are my morals. And that's what I've shown my children. Whether they choose to practice or not, I'm going to practice. My siblings don't, but when I do, they join me. Nobody ever, when we go and see, do an offering at the burial ground, my siblings always come. We take our children. This is the thing we do. So at least I realize I carried that in my family.